At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back on the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes, too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
More Chumba Casino fan mail. Love this. It says, Dear Ryan, I love Chumba Casino. They're so much fun. I love the wild ride from the social slots to the slingo to jackpots quicker than a 6-time real spin. Everybody's finding their fun at Chumba Casino. Why don't you find out for yourself? Head to ChumbaCasino.com and enjoy hundreds of casino-style games for free with your welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to
4Kids Flashback. Hello, welcome to 4Kids Flashback. My name is Tara Sands. I am joined by
Steve Yurko.
And there he is. Here we are.
Once again.
Whoop, whoop. Today, I'm so psyched for our guest today. This guest is one of the most requested guests that we have been asked about to get on this podcast. And it finally is happening. I'm very, very excited. Her name is Kerry Williams. She played a lot of roles you know and love at 4Kids. We'll get into that in a minute as I pull up her IMDb. But I'm just excited to reunite with Kerry and see what she remembers.
Yeah, how long has it been? I mean, I'm assuming
gosh.
that you've seen Kerry in person a bunch of times.
I have not. I have not seen her since I moved in about 2005.
Oh, okay.
She was somebody that, I loved when I saw out, but I didn't see her as much as I wish I had back then. So I'm excited to see her again.
All right.
And maybe I can convince her to get on the convention circuit.
Why not?
Why not?
The more the merrier.
I feel
at
like
this
I've
point.
convinced some other people.
It's just excuses for reunions.
Yeah, it is. So how are you? What's going on?
Doing okay. I'm feeling very, I don't know if I want to give away when we're recording this, but feeling very sleepy. And I don't know. I feel like me and my peers are feeling really sleepy. We're getting we're getting very tired at a certain time of day. I don't know. I guess.
What are you trying? I feel like you're being cryptic and I'm not picking up what you're laying
No,
down.
I think it's just, we come back from our lunch breaks and then we try to get back to work and then we just get tired.
Oh, you mean at the time of day? I thought you meant because right now it's about 5 to 4 p.m. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we get
Or you're saying the time of year?
No, just time of day. No, we just get kind of, we get the 3 o'clock sleepies.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't know how common that is.
It is a thing. Is it a 3 p.m. slump? I did a series of Lipton soup commercials years ago, and it was about how you could eat a packet of Lipton soup to beat the 3 p.m. slump.
Damn.
I think it was 3.
For lunch or just on the side?
No, in the afternoon, like a snack. It was this great series of commercials. It was me and Nick Kroll and all these great, before you knew who Nick Kroll was, you know. And I played the office cheerleader who was my first line was something like, I'm so incredibly perky, even I find myself irritating. It was on camera. It wasn't a,
Yeah.
It was very, Huh. But maybe you need a cup of soup.
I didn't maybe caffeine doesn't work on me anymore. I got to switch to Lipton soup.
Can you get immune to caffeine? That would be terrible.
I don't know. Some people say that, you get too used to it, and I don't know.
Oh, that would be tragic.
I feel like I drink too much maybe now. Maybe that's another problem I have.
Maybe.
I have it coffee maybe 2 to 3 times a day.
We need 7 different podcasts to talk about all this stuff. And anime news. No. I still need, the last thing I need to do for this podcast is watch the third of the 3 Pokemon movies that have
The commentary?
Yeah, and I maybe that'll be an assignment for this week. I think I'm still, I've said it before, I'm kind of hesitant because it's the one that Maddie does some commentary on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So maybe I'll do that for our, so we'll see. But that is my homework assignment. Do you have anything on your watch list?
I haven't been watching much lately. I've been so busy.
Yeah, you have been very busy. He's a hard
to watch new stuff. I mean, in terms of anime, I know that, actually, relating to this podcast now, Kinnikuman Origins Arc is on Netflix, which is Ultimate Muscle adjacent. Long story short, it's a sequel of the original series like Ultimate Muscle was, but it takes place in a different timeline. So I've been meaning to check that out, but I just haven't. Too busy.
Yeah, there's too much to watch is the problem. I just paid for a Crunchyroll subscription, and I'm still like overwhelmed by how many things, so I might just quit it and give up.
Overwhelmed by choice is definitely a thing, I will say.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen just to kind of see what it, even though I work on it, I just kind of don't know that much. And not on Crunchyroll, but I did watch, I think I told you already, some Pokémon because I want my 4-year-old cousin's kid to like me, which I did go into, but I don't think I can watch anymore.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is on Crunchyroll. I believe the dub is on Crunchyroll. If not, it's pretty available, but I think it's another reason to use it.
Too much to watch. And then all I end up watching are just like murder documentaries instead because it feels so different from work.
I'll often just throw on YouTube because it's almost just like it's easy stuff where I could just like things I know about that I don't have to necessarily pay attention to, but I'll retain and I could work during. Our co-producer Zach, who is not on the show, but he's a producer on the show. He told me the other day he watches like Cartoon Network bumpers in the background. Oh yeah. Oh, he's always been a huge fan of that.
It's such a funny thing, and I guess some Friday stuff came up during it. So he was like, it was my annoying face bothering him. But our guest is in the waiting room. I'm going to let Kerry in now, and we will be right back.
Alrighty.
Our guest today is the amazing Kerry Williams. Kerry was a huge part of so many shows at 4Kids back in the day. Nami in One Piece, a bunch like Tiff in Kirby, so many roles in Pokémon. But the most important, and my favorite one to say, is the Ham Scam Witch in Fighting Foodons. She has been probably our most requested guest, and I'm so glad she's here. Welcome to the show, Kerry Williams.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So appreciate you taking time to talk to us and attempt to answer some of our questions. And,
I'll do my best.
Take a walk down memory lane and
That's
feel
for sure.
old. So, Kerry, this is so weird because I do feel like I've known you for so long, but I don't know your backstory. I don't know how you got to 4Kids in the first place, what kind of theatrics were happening in your childhood. Do you mind just giving us a little?
I'm an only child, so not a lot. It was all happening in my head, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Same. So where did you grow up? I don't even know that.
Well, I'm here right now, actually. I grew up in Virginia. And I'm here visiting my mom right now. I just recently moved to Pennsylvania with my family. But yeah, I grew up in Virginia. My mother owned a dance studio. So I was kind of obligated to be a dancer. And I was a ballet dancer for, I went straight from high school right to dancing professionally with the Richmond Ballet. I went to Los Angeles Classical Ballet, lived in LA for a while. Eventually kind of realized ballet was a little too structured for me. So I ended up doing like theme park, worked for Busch Gardens, worked for Tokyo Disneyland. So that brought me to Tokyo. So kind of Japan has been in my world a few different times. Yeah. So I lived in Japan for about 3 years and then did Disney in Orlando. And yeah, so
who were you? Wait, more. Who were you?
Yeah.
People love Disney, so tell us.
I never was like anyone. I was like a dancer in like the show. Mm-hmm. So I did like I was in the Lion King, and I was like the flying Can You Feel the Love Tonight bird that flew. Like I don't know if they still do the same show, but it was. I mean, that was. I just feel so blessed. That's overused, but I really do feel like. I didn't go to college, but like my young, like 20s to 30s life was so like fun. I mean, I lived in Japan.
You trained on the job.
It was so much fun and met so many good friends and just had it was adventuresome, and I just feel like I lucked out. So anyway, so
Amazing.
from Orlando, I met a good friend, a fellow dancer, who said, "Hey, I have an apartment in New York that I'm subletting, and any desire to move to New York?" And I'm like, "Of course." I had Broadway dreams, I guess. Didn't really know, but my mom had lived in New York when she was young, so I always had that in the back of my head that New York was something that I would do at some point. So I moved to New York with the money that I'd made from Disney. And so I didn't really have to work right away. So I probably should have, but I didn't. And just auditioned, and then quickly found out that you kind of need to sing. You kind of need to, if you want to do Broadway. I just thought my dancing chops was all I needed. I don't sing, no. Oh, I have stories. I have audition stories where I would try, and I made a fool of myself. I paid.
What was your
lessons.
audition song? Do you remember what your audition song was?
Hold on, wait. Oh God, I did a few. I really did think I could do it until a point where I realized that I would practice. I paid for not tutors. What are they called? Oh my God, it's been a long time. Like I paid
coaches,
for coaches,
vocal coaches. Yeah,
many good ones. A lot of money spent on this.
Yeah.
And I would get into the audition, and I would just get into my head, and it would all go to pot, and I would end up with a little baby voice, which eventually came in handy. But it was like, I remember in Japan, I had to sing a song that it worked out, but it was like Pretty Baby. It was like, pretty baby. It was like a baby song. And I was like, it worked for me. But I just...
In character. You can sing in character.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, I was the polar opposite. I would go to a singing audition. They would tell me to come to a dance call, and I would not go because I couldn't dance. So we should have combined and been one person.
There might have been a time in New York where you could do one or the other, but at this point, it's just not, people
They wanted triple threats.
Yeah. So I ended up staying in New York and taking a couple commercial acting classes, and was sent. I had a commercial acting agent and was sent on a... Gosh, I'm sure you know where it was. I'm trying to, it's such a flashback, but she sent me on my first voiceover audition, and she was like, "You just have to read, and I think you'd be really great." Oh, I wish Susie Breed, what was her name? It was an agent.
Your agent name.
Yes, an agent or a manager, like Susie Friedman, I feel like was her name. I forget.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know. Okay.
She was typical New York, agent. She was like, I think he'd be great. And so
But voiceover wasn't on your radar at all. It wasn't like you were like...
Not at all.
Because my first thought, I was like, what's a voiceover? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I went. I don't think I booked it. I don't think I did. But then eventually they sent me to Taj, and I started, I got something and just thought, well, this is the coolest thing ever, because it was fun. Again, going from Disney, and it was just a job that you wanted to go to because it was 2 hours, 3 hours of just laughing and having fun, right?
Playing. Yeah. Do you remember what your first Taj audition was?
I believe, no, but yes, Casey for Pokémon.
Oh, so that was your first?
Yeah. That was the first one.
Love that.
And I think she came back a few times, right? It was maybe 4 or 5, at least 2.
Yeah,
episodes.
It was a recurring, because you're like, will I ever come back?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so that was cool.
It's good to know that you auditioned at Taj, because apparently the early auditions, which I didn't go to either, were in Jim Malone's apartment downtown, which is sounds so
I was there at some point, but...
Yeah, well, we all partied there at some point. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Okay, so you book this job. You're like, okay, this is super fun. But and then do you remember, because we're also trying to correct IMDb, which gets things painfully wrong. So if you ever, have some changes that you notice, but do you remember what the next thing was before, because then you were getting big parts on these shows.
The ones that I remember I also remember Rebecca Hawkins on Yu-Gi-Oh! Mm-hmm. And that was fun because she yelled a lot, and she was bossy and really again, I was always kind of jealous of how you guys could do all these variations. And I was pretty much little girl. That was kind of me,
that's...
Yeah, pretty
You're
much. I was
so wrong, because
Darren
specifically said that you were versatile. Like it came up in something, and he said that
as I went on, I think I lost that inhibition to try something new. And I always wanted to kind of get like little boy kind of thing going. And I just I could do it, but it's about maintaining it, right? Like you could do it for an audition, but can you really do this for 4 or 5 hours,
and then you shred your vocal cords.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So little girl, kind of tough, bossy, hyper. That was my initial thing.
Do you remember what you thought of this? Like, because to me, the weirdest part of this whole thing was the dubbing, but you had lived in Japan. Did you know any Japanese? Did you know anime, or was this all?
I did know a little Japanese. I'm embarrassed to say that I know a little, but I've forgotten a lot. But I did know a little Japanese. So I think that might have helped. I don't know. I think I kind of, sometimes I could kind of read the dubbing was fun, right? I mean, it could get frustrating.
Fun.
It could get frustrating. It was fun. I mean, for me, because, you're kind of, it's a challenge to try to.
Yes.
And luckily we're not memorizing our lines, right? They're right in front of you. And so you could just play with it to try to get in. I was a perfectionist. You want to get it just right. But then every once in a while it would get like, okay, I've done this enough.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're like, I just want to act. I just want to say it the way I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anime was not, you didn't know anime specifically. Like you weren't watching anime already or.
No.
Okay.
No, I wasn't. I mean, I do remember, hearing about Pokemon in Japan. I remember, in Japan we had, at Disneyland, we would have kind of like fans. I don't know. We had people who would come and see the shows and have particular dancers or performers, singers that they would often like come and offer to like show us around Tokyo or do different things. And I remember one woman and her children who would come often, and the 2 little boys were all about Pokemon. And I had no idea, but they actually did give me a card. I do remember. And so years later, when I'm in the studio doing this, I'm like, I think I have a card from this show. And I went home and I have it, and it's super cool.
How crazy.
Charizard, I think. Anyway, isn't that funny? Like it came kind of back around.
Yeah.
And I hope to make it. Have you been to Japan?
Once.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you been back since you worked there?
I haven't, and I really, really want to go. I want to bring my kids. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I stay in touch with a good friend. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just come back to you.
Exactly.
Okay, so while you're doing all this, is it are you also doing theater? Are you auditioning, or do you start focusing on this voiceover thing?
I did start to focus. I mean, when, more jobs were coming in, I was thinking, okay, this might be an actual career that I can continue with. And I did some commercial stuff along the way. I did a Volkswagen commercial, and I did voiceover commercial, and I did a couple on camera stuff. But the voiceover, the anime was my main kind of, I felt like that it was, I could stay living in New York City, if you know what I mean. I was able to like be there and be okay. At some point I ended up getting a real job, my first kind of real job, which was working at a hotel at the front desk. The Plaza, not the Plaza. The first one was the New York Palace, yeah. And then the Plaza, and so the hotel world kind of, and my anime voiceover work was kind of what, kept me adrift.
Lots of jobs. That was the thing about that.
What did you do?
For a while, I did children's birthday parties. And made like balloon animals and stuff. And then I
remember that.
Oh, it's so weird. And then I was temping. I was temping a lot.
Yeah.
And I had like a steady temp job for a while until luckily the commercial voiceover stuff was what ended up paying my bills, luckily.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the 4Kids stuff, but it was,
Yeah. Remember when, I remember going from Taj to 4Kids, and I was like, wow, this is like the big time.
Fancy.
Like the office and everything. Was 4Kids always there at 23rd Street?
No, well, there were certain things there, but they put in the studios. Like they had also had an like what we're learning through this podcast, and maybe you were as in the dark as I was. Like 4Kids had a whole uptown office where they handled all their licensing.
Right.
Like, this company was huge,
Right.
and then they built the studios at the 23rd Street location while we were recording at Taj. So like we were slowly starting to like trickle in, but they always had like.
But it was like new.
Overflow.
Like I feel like when I showed up, when we were there, everything was new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're like, this
there
is
had been,
big.
I think rave music had been there. So like there had been another company there that then the 4Kids company worked with. So there was one studio that was already there, but then everything else was kind of new.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sure some fan will correct me.
Yes.
So I want to just ask a few details about these things if you remember them.
Okay.
So this first role of Casey, was she one of your like spunky young roles? Like, do you remember figuring out the voice for that, or was it you?
I think it was me because this was my first gig, so it was probably me. And I think I'm pretty sure it was Jim Malone was the director who helped me to kind of like act. I was acting, but to like have fun with it and like try new things and to raise my voice at certain times, and then, but it was kind of me. That's my, when I hear her, since then I've gone back and, looked on YouTube and showed my two children. And,
did they think it was cool, or are you still just mom?
I think they were kind of weirded out like at first because I didn't tell them for a long time. And then they were like, what? And my son collects Pokemon. He's really big into Pokemon. But, totally, which is fun. So, but yeah, I think that when you hear it, it definitely sounds like me. Where other characters, they were like, who's that? I'm like, that's me for real. Like, when I really like, for example, Flora on the Winx Club, like that one was really trying to, bring it down and soft. But Casey was definitely just me being hyper and probably me at 7 years old.
Yeah. So since you mentioned Winx, do you remember that audition? Do you have any fun memories of that? Okay.
They were so pretty, right? I thought they were like so pretty and
finally like a girly show.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. I'm a girly girl. So yeah.
No, for sure. I remember that being one that was like, I really want to get this. Like, I want to do this one. And I was happy to get Flora because she was so sweet. And, I felt like naturey. And I related with Flora. So I was happy to get that. And I remember really wanting to, do that audition. I got nervous because I was like, I want this one. Yeah, I guess it was because it was kind of a girly thing. And I thought this is a show I might watch. So,
Right. Yeah. Like, it's funny because, and tell me if this was your experience. Like some of the auditions, I was just like, oh, I already work here. No big deal. But then once in a while, like Ninja Turtles, I was like, ooh, I really want this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was fun. I remember, and I remember Tiff in Kirby, right back at you. So Kirby was, I auditioned for Tiff and I auditioned for the little boy, which I forget his name.
Tough.
Little boy.
No,
Tough.
was it Tiff and Tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Because that was Casey's role. Yeah,
exactly. But I remember thinking I wanted that because I wanted to get a boy. Like I wanted to be that rough and kind of like crumbly little boys. And I tried, but I was no way. I'm like, I will never keep this up. So I got Tiff, which was cute too. And that one was fun because that was the first like Saturday morning like new show. And we were excited about that because, my parents were watching. And
Well, and you did have Andrew Reynolds directing you, which was always a treat.
Oh my gosh. So much fun. I found a video recently of, we had the VHS, like not VHS, but the big cameras, right? We had like the video camera. They weren't on the phone.
Oh.
And I remember my mom and dad came to visit me and I brought them to 4Kids to, show them around the studio. Oh, it's good. And Andrew was there and I think, they videoed me from inside the booth. I'm in the booth saying, this is what it looks like.
This.
It's very cute. Oh yeah, it's really sweet. And I had my dog. I used to bring my dog, Brutus. I had a little Yorkie, and he'd come.
Right, there were so many dogs in that office. It was great.
Oh, yes. Remember Brenda had a dog too. Oh, no, Brenda.
There was Millie.
Michelle
had Millie.
Yes. So Brutus was like Millie, but he's a little like Millie. And he used to sit in the booth with me, totally happy. Every once in a while, he'd ruin a take with a little, but he was so sweet. He would sit there with me. And I have a really funny video. Yes, Andrew and I had so much fun. We were so close at that time. We have I've had kids and life moves on and how it goes.
Yeah.
But we would have fun. We would laugh. I mean,
to have those jobs in our 20s, like I explained that, like, because we didn't have the responsibilities of having to go right home after our job. We all just hung out. Yeah. Like, it was a different kind of environment. It was a really young office.
Yeah.
There was lots of scandal and drama I mean, like you'd expect. Like, it just... Yeah. No, it was a really special time. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to think about it. I honestly, you sometimes move on with life and kind of forget about that stuff. But it was, how many years? I'm thinking. For me, it was probably 5, 6 years, something like that. And I
at least, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely look back. I wasn't heavily involved in any drama. Like, I would hear, yes, I remember. I wasn't heavily, like, thinking about it now. Yeah, maybe I can remember an episode or two. But for me, it was just come in, play for a couple hours, be silly, and go hang out with my friends. So I feel really
No, we're so lucky.
Yeah.
So you also did some of the Pokemon movies, which were I don't know if you remember this, but like we went to a different, like a fancy big screen for some of those. I'm not sure.
I did. I remember one, and I'll be honest, I was the main character. Thank you very much.
Is this the Celebi?
No,
wait, I'm looking at
Jirachi.
Jirachi, you were the...
No, I was not Jirachi. Wait, was I Jirachi? Yeah. Oh, was I Jirachi? I think I might have been.
Here, I'm going to check IMDb and see.
Says you were Jirachi.
You were Jirachi.
I was Jirachi, yes. Oh, that was... Yes. But there was no talking involved. It was all sounds, but I was the lead in a movie. I mean, come on. How cool
It's very exciting. Yeah, I know, because, but you wouldn't, it's such an odd thing, and I try to explain this to people, like, when it's just your voice, like, you can walk, if you walk down the street looking like Jirachi, everyone would be like, oh my God. But when it's just your voice, like, you can live this totally anonymous life and have this secret, kind of. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were Jirachi.
Yeah, I forget, what kind of sounds was it? It was like a star, and he was a wish maker, and it was all these little... like sweet sounds.
Right, because Jirachi didn't say Jirachi.
No.
Jirachi just made noises, which is so funny.
Right,
like, Steve, because all the other Pokemon were like
it was
saying
it was
their
a
name.
mixed bag. Yeah.
Yeah, what is the Tara, you did one. What was the big one on Pokemon that didn't have
Bulbasaur, but I said Bulbasaur. Like, I said the word. So it's always funny to me when I'm like, oh, you just got to, I'm kind of jealous. You just got to make some noises. Do you remember seeing it in the big theater?
I do, yeah. I did go, yeah. Of course. Come on. Yeah, that's so cool. I have to show my kids that one.
You do. Okay, we have to talk about One Piece. Because Steve knows everything about One Piece. I don't know if you know how controversial that version of One Piece is. I did not realize it.
I kind of heard a few, but I'd love to hear the details on that one, because did people not like it, or?
Well, it's okay. So, Steve, stop me if I'm wrong. It's not that they didn't like the actors or any of that. It's that the show had to be changed so much to be appropriate for a children's audience.
Right, because it's a little racy, right?
A little. It's like they cut out the blood, they cut out the cigarettes, they cut out the
sexy.
So like Steve, I'll just talk about you, was a kid who knew the manga and knew the show and was excited for this violent, wonderful show to be on television. And then
I didn't just like it for the violence.
No, I know, but they cut storylines.
It was like dumbed down. Okay.
But not even like you and I only saw it after those changes were made, so we had no idea.
Okay.
So years later, I started going to conventions and people were like, why did you do that to... I was like, do what? What are you talking about? So, okay, that was my question was, were you aware at the time about any
No, at the time, no. I know. And we did, I mean, it was kind of hard to follow, I'll be honest, especially when you're going in and just doing your lines. The show was a little bit hard to follow it was just had so much going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
And the storyline was kind of like it was much more detailed than anything else we'd ever done. Like the story seemed heavier. And since then, I have seen a few like online things, and I guess I did definitely got that vibe that it wasn't true to maybe the original, the original show. Right. So that or the manga. So that being said, I did have a few like I don't know if people sent. I don't know how I got it, but I have a few like what's it called, like merchandise from the show.
Oh, yeah.
I had and from a few of my characters that I've done, and I recently pulled them out, being here at my mother's, and pulled them out for the kids. And the Nami, the few things I have were much more like sexy than I remember. So I think she was kind of like sexy, right? And
I think past what 4Kids did, they definitely upped it for sure. So, the majority, I will regrettably confirm that majority of her merchandise these days is
that way. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's taken that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was like a whole department at 4Kids that was in charge of like covering cleavage and making skirts longer on shows, because like shows like Yu-Gi-Oh! And all these shows were not really made for children.
Yeah.
And even like in Winx Club, like even though it felt more like a children's show, like there was some racy stuff. They were just like, that's a little too low cut or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know there was a department working on that though.
Oh, that's so funny. No, of course I didn't know that either. But I do remember every once in a while seeing like blood fly or something. We're like, well, that's straight, because we think this is a kid's show. And I mean, that's kind of weird that they're, showing the blood. But it was obviously much more than just a little blood here and there. It was like kind of,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so whatever happened, did anyone do that again?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Steve. Steve,
another company took over after the contract ended, and it's going to this day, and there's still there's still an English version being produced that's separate, but it started in Dallas and Funimation at the time, and but it's such like a huge cast that like people from LA and people from New York have like been in it. But
wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Many years.
Well, I feel honored to have been a small part of that.
Well, you were an important part of it. I mean, and so we talked to Erica Schroeder, and like this was something that I never experienced. So I'm curious if you did. She had a whole session with like the Japanese team where they figured out her voice and all the stuff. Did you have any of that on any shows? Did you ever experience that?
Okay, if I think back, it's possible, but I don't really remember. So was this in the beginning, like a casting, or once she had been cast? Oh no, I think
both.
That.
I mean, she had it on different shows that happened where she was like literally like put through the ringer with like these vocal sessions. Like I never had anything.
No, I don't remember that. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. I think that would have made me nervous. Yeah, no.
I had to ask because I thought maybe with Nami, but Nami is pretty similar to your voice.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
but she's
Nami
fun. That must have been a fun
without any not doing anything. It was just kind of me. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's a nice claim to fame.
It was such an intense audition, like an audition. Apparently, from what Erica shared, I was curious to hear if that was like that for the other main cast, because Nami is a very pivotal character. But it seemed
I don't remember that. I really don't. Or if they were, it wasn't. I didn't have any interaction with them. Like maybe they were secretly in the back and I didn't even know, but I really don't remember
the other
that.
side of
because that would have made me know exactly the window blackened out, black curtain,
like a focus group. Where you don't know they're there. That would have been stressful.
Yes, for me, for sure.
So I want to just go down some of the other roles. If you don't remember them, it's okay. Do you remember Ham Scam Witch on Fighting Foodons? Because what a name.
I remember Fighting Foodons for sure. But I don't remember my character. I remember just participating. I don't remember that's
okay.
And I would love to hear that, to be honest. So I'm going to be putting that into YouTube after this because I would love to see what I did for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our listeners are great at like finding voice clips and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so you played a mother on Magical Do-Re-Mi. So was that, it says you played Rianne's mother. Do you remember that at all? Because that would have been a change of pace for you.
I do not. And I, again, would love to hear that. Do not remember that at all.
Okay, we'll have to get that. What about, do you remember Tama and Friends at all?
Because yes.
That was a cute one.
Yeah, I have
now, do you know who you were?
Stop, Momo.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, and this is funny. I have a funny story about. So recently I was telling my kids, because that was one that, when my children were little, I said, oh, let's look at this one because that one was cute. And it was like a cute little, for little ones. Right. And so I looked it up on YouTube, and I don't know if you know, but I think Momo, there was some like horrible, like a horror movie. Do you know about this? Like with a girl with like her hair's like this. At least I was living in Colombia at this time, and I remember seeing posters everywhere. Google it, Momo. It's like a horror movie, and
so like this is what comes up when
this is what comes up. And my children had nightmares for like weeks.
Oh my god!
And I was like, no, she was just a cute little white cat. But yes, I really enjoyed that. She was super sweet. I have a keychain actually of Momo, the little white cat. She was precious.
Oh.
I do remember that one. And Tama, it was so sweet.
I can't believe you have a keychain.
I do.
Like, did you get it at the time you got?
I don't remember. I probably found it in, I love like flea markets and like those types of things. And there is one here in Virginia, in Gloucester, that we go to. It's a huge place. And there is a guy who has tons and tons of like anime stuff. And every once in a while, I'll find something. And I found a Nami, one little keychain Nami, and one Tama. I'm sorry, Momo.
Because Tama, we've talked to like the licensing department because we were so curious how much merch actually got made. So that's very interesting that you have it. In addition to your video, you're going to take a picture of that keychain.
Okay, I will.
That's your next assignment.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, wait, I'm looking through your thing. So Rebecca Hawkins, we talked about a little bit in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, she was a toughie.
Do you remember, like, some of these we did not... we didn't audition for. How often were you just given roles as opposed to actually auditioning for them?
I guess for like, secondary characters on Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, every once in a while we just get called in, right? I forgot that. But yeah, that was nice, right? It kind of felt cool.
Totally.
I don't need to audition for this. I got it. Yeah, that was nice. I do remember that every once in a while. I don't remember which characters, but it happened.
Okay, do you remember Elly and Shaman King? Does that ring a bell?
Oh, shoot. Yes, it does ring. Oh, the Shaman King. I remember that. That was kind of cool. Fun one. That was fun. I don't remember the character, and I need to look that one up because I think that
she was
Shaman
part of like
King,
a trio, from what I remember.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like 3 girls, right?
Yeah, and I think, because it was a rhyming convention, except the leader had a completely different name. That was the joke.
Yeah. Elly. Oh, yeah.
Let me go to my memory banks real quick.
Okay. Wow. I have not, honestly, I've looked up my stuff online. Where are you finding this?
IMDb. Which again, you know what? Sometimes it's wrong. We might be able to dispel it.
No, that one was right. That one was right.
What about Tokyo Mew Mew? You're not credited as a specific role. I never worked on that show. Do you remember that one much at all?
Mew Mew was the one with like the
Mew Mew power.
Mew Mew power.
That's what
Yes. Okay, don't remember that one. I mean, I don't know. That's a maybe.
I so get that. Ultimate Muscle?
Memories of Kiki. Wrestling, right?
It says Kiki,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, I think I did quite a bit on that, right? I mean, I think Kiki was like a reoccurring character, right?
Yeah, kind of usually part of like the peanut gallery,
Exactly. Oh, yes, I remember Ultimate Muscle.
That was a show that would never, I don't think, could be on the air today.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. It's amazing
Very
how
violent.
how much they censored One Piece, but yet before that, Ultimate Muscle had been on. It's crazy pants. Right? Okay,
WWF.
moving right along. Sakura in Pokemon Chronicles, does that ring a bell?
It does, because my best friend in Japan, my best friend is Sakura. And
Sakura.
Yes, but it was pronounced slightly different. I've heard, and this is my friend explained to me, and this also may need to come out if it's not correct. But my friend Sakura was the sweetest and loveliest friend in Japan, and she explained to me that her name was taken after the cherry blossom, which is a sakura. But the way it is written in kanji was written, and it means short life. It's two symbols. It means short life because the tree, the cherry blossom is such a short.
What a sad name.
I know, but they changed it, and they changed the way it was pronounced, meaning the intonation was different, so that it changed the way it was written, and therefore did not have that meaning.
Oh, so like they changed the emphasis.
Exactly. The emphasis was changed, so therefore it was written differently, and it didn't have that same meaning. So anyway. That probably needs to go.
Very interesting. No, that's fascinating. Okay, wait, now moving through your list. Okay, Sonic X, it says, I like this one. Rich Woman A. Francis, Daisy.
Now, I remember for sure. Just kidding. I have no idea.
Okay, so yeah, those are someone we get like pulled into the room and they were like, hey, say this. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then there's some random stuff in Pokemon like Catherine, Serena. Oh, Serena. I think that was a real role, right? Am I misremembering? A referee.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Again, Tara, I feel, and maybe I'm selling myself short, but I really do feel that I would have been able to do kind of a more had I been able to, like I say, have a little bit more. My voice was pretty feminine, pretty high pitched. And it was hard for me to pull out anything. I could do it. And I enjoyed the challenge, but I think I probably would have had a longer career had I been able to be a little bit more like you and to do some kind of more, understand.
Well, that's very sweet, but Darren did not rave about me the way he did about you. So
really?
No. I mean, honestly, he gushed, and it was very sweet. He said you were kind of up for anything, and I think that's, as actors, that's sort of more important than anything else is just being game. And we kind of get slack because it's
fun, right?
It's fun, but also not everyone's that uninhibited. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure your dance
physical.
background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That definitely helps, right? I mean, if you're just like standing still, you just can't. I don't know. You just. But a lot of movement. I totally was dancing in the booth a lot. Just to make your voice like reverberate or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I was moving around a lot. So yeah.
And I'm sure you got yelled at for doing that because you would get off of mic. Because you have to stay on the microphone. Oh my God. Well, that's like one of the biggest things new voice actors learn. You're like, okay, well, be physical, but it's mostly with your arms because you can't really,
Yeah.
So weird.
Okay,
so now I need to know about after 4Kids. Like, are you still living a creative life? Are you dancing? Are you just?
I'm sad to
put
say
that aside.
I have. Let's see. So right after I was in New York until 2000. So I was in New York about 10, 12 years. And then ended up in that hotel world, kind of, moving up and I was a director of spa at the Four Seasons. And there came a time where it was like, okay, I'm working full time. How do I squeeze this in? And I would still try to do it. If I could have done it full time, you better believe that, if that would have paid the bills, I 1000% would have done it. But at some point I had to make a choice and I had a full-time job. And slowly you say no enough times and you're not going to be called anymore. So that's what happened. And years. Let's see. So that I left New York in 2009, and married, 2 kids. I have to say, I feel like my voice, when you get out of practice, your voice does weird things, and you
it's like dance or sports or any of that. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right.
I bet you could pick it right back up though. So if anyone out there is casting and you want to just call Kerry.
Well, I've raised 2, now teenagers, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I was really fortunate to be able to do that. And I'm now back in the, kind of looking to see what my next chapter is going to be. And I hope it is creative. So thank you for saying it like that, because that is important to me, that it is something creative, because I do kind of miss, I miss that. It's probably not going to be the dance. That's, I don't know if they're hiring any 50-something-year-olds, but the voice work, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like, it doesn't, and I say it in that way because so many people that we worked with are leading creative lives, and not in the way you would expect. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always in the most obvious way as performing. And I think people kind of find, I mean, the fact that you were able to take the time and raise 2 kids, and now you can kind of think about what you want to do.
Exactly, and do it my way.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
Tara, you're in LA?
I am. I left for New York and 4Kids in 2005. So I've been here, oh my God, a long time. Yeah.
Do you love it?
No.
Thank you for being honest.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I'm limited in where I can live because I do this.
Yeah.
I thought kind of that we could live anywhere. Like during the pandemic, we thought, oh wait, they're going to let us live anywhere.
Yeah.
They do want us back in the studio. And I moved because again, the weather, all these things I have some great friends here. Lisa Ortiz is here now.
Yeah. And Susie Goldish, right?
The best. She loves you. Oh my God. When she was so jealous that I was going to talk to you.
Oh, please tell her I said hi.
I will. And like, it is weird to still kind of be doing a lot of the same stuff we were doing back then. Cause you're like, wait, has my life changed at all?
Well, you're lucky.
Yes and no, because in some ways I'm very envious that you had this whole separate, like you had this life in your 20s. And then, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's always, again, it's grass is always greener. I think we just keep looking for new experiences. And again, like, just to take it back to 4Kids, like, what a cool, weird experience we had early in our lives to be part of this phenomenon that was Pokemon and these shows that people are still talking to us about.
I was going to say, the fact that people still appreciate it and still talk about it is really cool. And I'm really proud to have been a part of it.
Yeah. And I told Kerry before I'm going to get her roped into some of these conventions. And if they'll invite us all.
One time, Eric Stewart and I went to a convention in Newark, I believe.
Newark, New Jersey?
Time, I felt really out of place. I just felt, I just felt kind of out of place. But so I kind of chickened out and didn't do it again. But I think we'll get you back. How much fun! I mean, that's really cool, and I'm kind of envious that you're able to do that and not feel embarrassed. Like I just felt so self-conscious. Maybe because I was used to being behind, a booth, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know me? How do you know me?
Well, it's weird, and I think like what I do, because some people are comfortable with it, some people aren't. I put it onto the fans. Like when they say like, what was your favorite? I go, what was yours? I want to know about your experience. I mean, and they are so eager because honestly, I feel like a very small cog in this whole wheel. But if I'm there representing the show and they need to tell me something about their experience with the show, I'm just there to listen. And
that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
It's been really rewarding in that way, like because it's heartwarming. Like you see these. Like, listen, Steve is a One Piece aficionado. Like it's been a huge part of his life, and it started with being annoyed with the 4Kids version, unfortunately. But we were part of his.
Here we are.
But we're part of his journey, and that's really friggin' cool.
Yeah. Steve,
I
we
don't
didn't
know.
know. We didn't know. Had we known, I would have never done that. I'm kidding.
I mean, that's part of the major reason, doing this podcast is like, let's actually hear from the people. And also it's like, we've talked a lot with like the writers and, producers too. And
you have? So, that's really cool. That's great.
And that's awesome, honestly. And I mean, again, the people listening have heard this, but I was getting asked so many questions at conventions I couldn't answer. And these people want to know. And I thought, well, no one's interviewing the staff and the writers, and they were making these. They were there every day.
What is the conclusion? Like, was it a mistake? Like, on the part of, was it maybe over ambitious or over to think that you could make it appropriate for Saturday morning TV? You know what I mean? Like, what is the conclusion, that it was just a kind of a bad mistake?
That's what Norman kind of said.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Norman, was one of the first to flat out say that.
Well,
and
good for you, Steve, doing that. That's great.
I think it's just because was I a teenager like that I was annoyed at that time? Sure, but now it's like I'm old. I look back, I'm like, I just want to know what went into it. I love hearing from as many people involved in it. And of course, these other shows too. I watched a bunch of these shows. And just hearing some more of those stories, because as Tara said, like, not everyone is contacting people that worked in production or in design or promos and other stuff.
Right.
And
That's great. Good for
And
you.
they were just as frustrated with having to make these changes, because this was all standards and practices. And I mean, the truth was, and what we're at the end of the day, 4Kids was a company that was looking to make money. So they heard, their sources told them this One Piece show is a big deal. These were the Pokemon people. They're going to get the next big show.
Yeah.
They did everything. I mean, listen, they got it on the air, which is a feat.
It did what they could, It's, looking back, a lot of it's kind of just like trying to make it work. And it was definitely, square peg kind of situation.
Yeah. Understood. Yes.
But again, the voices and the voice actors, no one's blaming them. But it is funny years later for you and I to find out, like, we were part of this. This thing that people are so
for sure. I guess of all the characters that I've done, and I don't look a lot online. I think one time I looked and I saw like a couple like negative comments about my work, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not. But
it's not worth it.
I think that's definitely the character that gets, or the show that is out there the most, right, on the internet. I mean,
I mean, it was big in Japan, and it's only now over the last like few years really kind of starting to finally get some traction in the US. It only took 20 years. but
in Japan, it's still being made.
Oh, and here.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was a live action version that was actually, you and your kids could watch the live action Netflix version.
Okay. Oh, wow. How was that, Steve?
It turned out very pretty well. And I think it's just because there's been so many like subpar live action adaptations of anime and other stuff too. And I think this time they really kind of put the time in making sure, like, is this faithful?
Excellent.
And it's still something different, but it was very well received by the fans. And yeah, you can watch that. Or you can watch 1,000+ episodes of One Piece.
I will start that today, and I'm not just saying that. I really, really will. We're always looking for good entertainment.
Check it out.
Yeah. Oh, Kerry, I'm going to let you leave because you have a life, but thank you times a bazillion for doing this, and you're making a lot of people really happy. Of course.
I was really hesitant, as you know, and I put it off a few times, but I'm glad I did it. Thank you.
Oh, that was fun.
Mm-hmm. Pulled an ultra rare card, I don't know, in Kerry Williams. If I could speak in Pokemon trading card game lingo. I don't know.
That.
Do I sound hip, kids?
I didn't know her background as a dancer.
No, the Tokyo Disneyland thing I thought was really cool. And yeah, they do a lot of, I mean, Disney World in Florida, I'm sure, is like that too, but I'm used to Disneyland out here. But yeah, they have a lot of stage performance stuff in Tokyo. I was just there like, a little over a year ago, and yeah, you'll just walk and there's just a stage area and there's a bunch of people.
So cool. What a cool life. And I feel like she's lived a couple lives, and I love that. Mm-hmm. So, and she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
and I hope she gets back into it. I hope you guys get to meet her at conventions and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Oh, you know what we did not say in the intro? Sorry, I'm choking here. You know what we didn't tell them, Steve?
Oh, I mean, where to find us.
Yeah.
If they like our show so much. Well, if this happens to be your first episode of the podcast and you enjoyed it so much, go to our website. It's 4kidsflashback.com with the number 4, not the word 4. Go there to find all our episodes, links to where you could listen to it on your favorite podcast apps. And if you like the show even more than that, you could go over to patreon.com/4kidsflashback, also with the number 4. Become a patron over on Patreon, and you get to hear episodes a week early, ad-free, and some other bonus stuff that we're posting there, like stuff we find from people's collections. There's like, look at these old scripts I found, or, here's some here's some VHS rips of promos for Yu-Gi-Oh! Before the show hit the airwaves, all that good stuff.
All that. So go there. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review. And we will. The song. Subscribe, rate, and review. But we will.
Catch you next time.
4Kids Flashback is a production of Maji Media, hosted by Tara Sands and Steve Yurko.
Producers are Zach Logan, Tara Sands, and Steve Yurko.
For more information, go to 4kidsflashback.com. That is the number 4. And if you worked at 4Kids and have a story you want to share, please email us at 4kidsflashback@gmail.com.
You can find us on social media at 4kidsflashback, and to listen early and ad-free, head to patreon.com/4kidsflashback. For podcast merchandise, find links on our website and Linktree.
As they say on every podcast, if you liked this show, please subscribe, rate, and review, and tell your friends, or 4. If you want to check out other Maji Media podcasts, go to maji.media. Thanks for listening.